We've got a quorum already, so may I now call the meeting to order. We've got the administration's team with us. I will not introduce the team members to our members again. So let's have a presentation from the administration, please. Yes, thank you, Chairman. In order to tie in with Hong Kong's future social and economic development, we need to increase the supply of land. In fact, as early as in 2011 and 2012, in the policy address, the Ex-Lamma Quarry Area was identified as a site for residential development and other compatible uses. So a study started in January 12 concerning the future land use and the development potential of the Ex-Lamma Quarry site. And there will be public engagement exercises, and the study should be completed by the end of 2014. So the stage one of the public engagement exercise was held from the 7th of December 2012 to 6th of February 2013. There were a series of activities to gauge public views. And on the 22nd of January 2013, the development panel was briefed. Over 500 submissions were received, and most of them were in favor of developing the ELQ site. So we need to take into account infrastructure, environmental factors, and also the need to protect the ridgeline. And we've also carried out some technical assessments. And we've got this concept. And concept 2 option 2 is the basis, tourism plus housing. About 1,900 housing units will be provided, and the planned population is about 5,000. And we've taken into account the rural environment and also the tourism potential, and so recreation facilities will also be provided in order to maximize the development potential of this area. With regard to the natural slopes, air quality, drainage, preliminary technical assessments have already been carried out, and these assessments show that with certain mitigation measures, the whole development concept is feasible. And concerning noise, water quality, drainage, and so on and so forth, preliminary environmental protection assessments have been carried out, and we've come to the conclusion that the development concept is feasible. On the 14th of March to the 17th of May this year, we had stage 2 public engagement. Over 300 written submissions were received during the period. So concerning the ELQ site, we will draw up more detailed development plans, and then we will carry out environmental impact assessment. And now I would like to invite Ms. Chuck to give members a PowerPoint presentation on the development concept and the public comments received. Yes, thank you. So you can see the Ex-Lamma Quarry site or the ELQ site here. So today we're here to listen to members' views on the development proposals.
咁咧就
So in the next stage, we'll draw up the outline development plan, and also we'll come up with the implementation details. In May, we completed the second community engagement exercise. Perhaps I can say something about the study area. That's on the northern part of Lamma Island. So you can see the study site on this map. This is the Ex-Lamma Quarry site, or ELQ site, and there are about 20 hectares of platform area. And you can see that the study area is bounded by the yellow dotted lines. And so you can see that the study area is about 60 hectares in area. To the north, we have Yongshuwan. And this ELQ site is to the north of Sokkuwan. And you can see that in the southern part of Lamma Island, we have conservation areas and also sites of special scientific interest. So this used to be a quarry site. Quarrying activities started in 1978, and then there was cessation of quarrying operation in 1995, and the rehabilitation works for the quarry site were completed in 2002. And in the third photo, you see the existing ELQ site. There are 3 flat sites, adding up to a total of 20 hectares, and there's an artificial lake, and you can see there. You can also see the shoreline. Most of the land is government land. We conducted 2 stages of community engagement. Stage 1 lasted from the 7th of December 2012 to 6th of February 2013. So we tried to gauge public views on initial land use options, and over 500 written submissions were received.
Now, at the time, through the community engagement, we conducted a series of activities to statutory or advisory bodies, and we also came to LegCo panel on development, and we also met with professional groups, green groups, and we also conducted roving exhibitions for the public. Now, at stage 1, public engagement, we recommended 3 options. The option 1A and 1B are mainly housing options of population 5,000 and 7,000 respectively. Whereas the initial option 2 is focused on tourism and housing, the options 1A and 1B involved wholly or partially. Option 1B involved partially filling up the lake, man-made lake, and also in option 2 there were plans for a marina. And now we come to the main views at the time. It's felt that the site should benefit the local economy and community and enhance economic vibrancy. and some people felt that the housing options are not viable, whereas others consider that the site should provide affordable private and subsidized housing development, and public housing was generally not supported. And some people felt that there should be no population intake, and it was felt that 7,000 was too high, whereas 5,000 size population is acceptable, and there's expectation of enhanced transport services and community facilities. And apart from residential and tourism options, other land uses options such as recreation, sports, and eco-education uses as well should be concluded. And some suggested that we should create an eco-educational park similar to the Eden project in UK. And most do not support the marina option, and many feel that the man-made lake should be preserved for landscape and recreational purposes, and there should be enough GIC facilities such as library, fire station, police post, clinic, education, etc. And on transport and connectivity, it felt that there should be enhanced connectivity with existing local communities, and there should be upgrade to transport for the existing and future residents, and the ferry services should be enhanced to cater for increased traffic demand arising from the present and future community in Sokowan. And it felt that the car-free environment at Lamma should be retained, and the future development should be within walking distance. And some feel that the proposal would cause potential environmental and ecological impacts to the natural environment of Lamma and the adjoining fish culture zones. Now, concerning the views collected in stage 1, now we have drafted a recommended outline development plan, which we will brief you on, and this is mainly based on the tourism plus housing theme under option 2, and there will be resort, hotel, recreational facilities, as well as private and subsidized housing. And we took account of planning objectives and guiding principles such as preservation of coastal protection area and ridgeline, technical assessments, findings, existing infrastructure, environmental constraints, and we have come up with this preferred option to further optimize the development potential by providing additional housing flats and recreational uses. And our criteria or principles considered include diversifying land uses and introducing different focal points at the study site, providing a variety of housing choices in form of subsidized as well as private housing, and provision of necessary government and institutional and community facilities to cater for the community needs, and enhancing the tourism and recreational potential to strengthen the role of Lamma Island as the leisure destination of the urban dwellers. And given the public's concerns, we try to minimize the disturbance to the natural environment and to preserve the existing woodland and man-made lake in totality. And also we try to enhance and respect the natural environment and surroundings through stepped building height profile and preservation of view corridors to the natural backdrop and ridgeline. And we also try to enhance internal and external connections and promote walking and cycling as the main transport modes. Now, you can see here that our overall planning and design principles are mainly in respect of the three sites and southwestern, central, and eastern, and on these 3 pieces of flat land, we try to preserve the view corridor to preserve the features of the topography. And in the upper left-hand corner, you can see the step height profile of the buildings. That is, the building height will gradually decrease towards the coast so as to preserve the view of the ridge line behind. And this is the recommended outline development plan as visualized, and there are 3 parts that I will come to. First, in the southwest, this is mainly for residential use. The dark red part, that's the subsidized housing, and the rest will be private housing. The 6-hectare site will provide about 1,200 units of private housing and 700 units of subsidized housing, and the expected population will be 5,000. Now, for the subsidized housing, this is in response to the public's views expressed in stage 1 community participation, and in the middle, this is the focal part of the community. There will be a new ferry pier, and next to the pier there will be a low-rise, approximately 2-story commercial development catering to the residents and visitors. On the 2 sides, at the blue parts, you can see that these are the GIC facilities, and to the left at the blue part, that is for library, social welfare facilities, police post, and to the east there is a community health center and a tourist information center, visitor information center, so that as soon as the public arrive, they will have all the facilities they need, and the commercial development will have a 3,000 square meter open space for festival activities, and in the northeast, in the orange colored area, we see an outdoor recreation center area or center. Here there will be more recreational activities that are connected with ecology and environment, where people can have camping and so on. At the northeastern corner, there is a resort hotel. It will be 6 stories maximum, and on the lake side, which is a 5-hectare lake, there will be a water sports center, so that the public can make use of the lake to enjoy recreational and tourist facilities. And now, apart from the residential tourism and commercial facilities, we also try to provide more open space. The green area is the 1.5 hectares of green area surrounding the lake, and and we also have a waterfront promenade, making use of the short 1.5 hectare lakeside area. And there is a 9-hectare forest belt that will be preserved along with the man-made lake. And we will provide cycling paths and pedestrian paths with cycling tracks so that there will be a environmentally friendly transport mode, and we also be working with green building design, efficient use of energy and water resources, and installation of waste recycling facilities. This way we hope to develop the committee along the green and sustainable concepts. Now, as for transport network, now in stage 1 committee engagement, we received suggestions about the linkages or network, and in the middle part, we will have a new ferry pier, as I mentioned earlier. This will enhance the ferry service to go to Central via Sokguwan Old Pier, and there will be a new link to the linking the 3 nodes, and they will be, and this will also be supplemented by cycling tracks and a pedestrian walkway. And for the coast from the study site to Lo So Shing, there will be an access of approximately 610 meters, and it will also connect to Sokguwan. Now, this proposed access will involve natural coastal features, so we will be very careful for this footpath, and we will take into account the footpaths at Tong O, Mo Tat Wan, and Lo So Shing. Now, for the RODP, we have conducted a number of technical assessments on traffic and transport, geotechnical and natural terrain hazard, air ventilation, drainage, sewerage, water supply, and utilities. And the proposed developments are shown to be broadly feasible with mitigation measures. Now, on implementation, after the study, we will have a detailed engineering design study, and there will be, upon completion of the required statutory and funding approval procedures, will be the formation and infrastructure works. So the first population intake will be around 2021. Now, from March to May, there will be a 2-month stage 2 community engagement activities, and there will be roving exhibitions and focus group meeting and briefings to statutory bodies and so on. So I will now come to the main views gathered in stage 2 engagement.
We received over 340 comments, and we received about 5,500 signatures expressing support for rezoning the ELQ site as an eco-theme park. And the Lamma South and the Lamma North rural committees, the Southern District Council, the Islands District Council, the Town Planning Board generally expressed support for the proposal. And those who have given comments hope that the future development will benefit the overall development of the whole island, and they hope that there will be improvements in transportation services in Sokguwan, connection with Sokguwan and Yongshiguan, and also public health services and education facilities. And there are some who do not support our proposal, and these are their major concerns. They are of the view that the proposed development will have an adverse impact on the environment and the ecology on Lamma Island. They are worried about high transportation costs, and some are concerned about the financial viability of the ferry services. And some feel that a high-rise development and significant population intake will destroy the unique rural character of Lamma Island. And some have said that they would like to see the site develop as an ecological theme park like the Eden project in the UK. So we will be studying and assessing the comments, and then we will draw up the RODP for the ELQ site, and we'll also be drawing up the implementation arrangements. So members' valuable comments and suggestions are welcome. Thank you. Thank you. All right, so a detailed briefing has been given to members on the proposed development on the ELQ site. So members, you can now ask questions. Each member will have 4 minutes, including questions and replies. And please be concise when you ask questions and give replies. Chen Chi-chung, Chen Kam-lam, UC Wing, Gary Fan, Ann Chang, Wu Chi-wai, Albert Chan, Fernando Zhang. All right, Mr. Leung Chi-chung first. Mr. Leung? Oh, Mr. Chen Kam-lam? Thank you, Chairman. I think this study is important. We usually go to Lamma Island only for a holiday. And now it is proposed that there should be some development on the island. Lamma Island is quite near to Hong Kong Island, the southern district of Hong Kong Island. Public housing has been proposed, and they belong to the low-income group, and and they may need to travel to the urban area to work, and their daily traveling expenses will be rather high. So should public housing development take place on Lamma Island? No, some time ago, some HOS flats in Tai O were put up for sale, and they were not very popular. And you're not proposing to construct many residential flats on the site, and I don't think you will be able to provide too many public housing sites on the site. So can you provide more flats in total? And if more flats are provided on the site, say for example, say if you provide flats to accommodate 8,000 people or 10,000 people, then will there be unacceptable environmental impact? Ms. Chair, please. Who can answer this question? Yes, Chairman. Concerning subsidized housing, now in stage 1 of the community engagement exercise, many were of the view that waterborne transport would be the main form of transport. And in fact, we're not proposing to provide PRH flats on this site. For subsidized housing to be provided here, we're talking about HOS flats, not PRH flats. Now, in fact, for the planned population, we put forward a few options in the stage 1 of the community engagement exercise: 5,000, 7,000, 2,800, and most people favored 5,000. But then we want to preserve or protect the ridge line. We want a stepped profile, and the population on Lamma Island at the moment is about 6,000. Most of them live near Yongshu Wan. And we think it's appropriate to increase the population by 5,000. So in future, the total population on Lamma Island will be about 11 to 12,000, and we think that represents a balanced development option. And I don't know whether the Highways Department would like to supplement, or the CEDD. Chairman, so Lamma Island is an outlying island, and so ferry service is the main transport service. As Ms. Chair has pointed out, in our overall planning, we need to take into account transport factors as well as other factors, and an additional population of 5,000 is considered an appropriate number. Mr. Leung Chi Chang, thank you. Thank you, Chairman. I want to say that I support the proposal in principle. Yes, we need to try to find more land for housing development. And I think this site fronts a very beautiful bay. This area used to be a quarry, and I think this area will become a very attractive residential area. I understand that there will be subsidized housing as well as private housing, and also there will be a resort. People may get the impression that this is really neither fish nor fowl. There will be subsidized housing, private housing, as well as a resort hotel. And there will be an additional population of 5,000. Now, people all know that the ferry services serving Lamma Island are extremely expensive. The fares are extremely high. And how many ferries will be deployed to serve these 5,000 people? And will the residents be able to afford the traveling expenses? People may complain about very high transport costs. They may ask for government subsidy. So I'm just worried that you will be criticized. And then this is your vision, right? And so it seems that the housing is not the modern type housing, and the photo gives me the impression that this is a small town. So why not develop this area into an attraction for local people? I don't think this area can become a high-class tourism resort. There will only be 200 odd rooms, and if I show people this photo, people will get the impression that this is not a modern town at all. So I think you should provide guest houses for local people to spend their holidays. And then Mr. James Tian said that in Hong Kong we need more marinas. So can you provide a marina here? Yes, I think Ms. Chair can answer most of the questions, and Mr. Chen can answer the questions related to traffic and transport. Thank you. Yes, thank you, Chairman. I thank the member for his questions. We do have, we are proposing a mix of land uses here. And in fact, we really do want to strike the right balance. And that's why there will be housing development, tourism development, as well as recreation development. We've heard the public's expectations concerning the development of this ELQ site. There is the man-made lake in the northeastern part of the site, and then there is some land in the area for recreation use or development. And we expect organizations to organize eco-tours or recreation activities for the visitors so that they will know more about Lamma Island. And for the hotel project, we've given this project a lot of thought. In Hong Kong, we do not have a lot of resort hotels, and we think this is a good place to provide a resort hotel for families to spend a happy weekend. We believe that this resort hotel will be attractive to local people as well as to tourists. Ferry services, Chairman. Now, at the moment, there is a ferry service to Yung Shu Wan via Sok Koo Wan. The population at Yung Shu Wan is about 5,000. And the existing frequency of ferry service can meet the demands of the residents. We've talked to the residents, and in fact, these residents are extremely wise. They've said that for PRH tenants, they may find the ferry fares too high. But then they've also said that for those living in HOS flats or private flats, they should be able to afford the ferry fares. And they welcome such flats because their family members and their friends can move into these flats. And they've said that in fact many people nowadays do work from home. They may not need to travel to the urban area every day to work. Thank you.
Also on transport, we can see that if we rely only on ferries, we may not have sufficient linkages, because right now the population is not that large, but in the future when there are more people living there, you rely on ferries for external links, and you rely on footpaths and cycling tracks internally. So the transport facilities may not be enough. Can you consider green vehicles for traveling on the island, because tourists will also need to engage in activities there. Can you offer controlled green vehicles? Now, also concerning tourism activities, now there are no commercial facilities nearby, so the tourists will merely be able to bask in the sun and enjoy some outdoor activities. So I think there may be local visitors, rather more local visitors than tourists. Now you rely on water sports, but some people will like to swim and lie in the sun. So can you introduce a beach where people which people can enjoy and stay maybe for a week? Also, on food, now many tourists would like to enjoy seafood. Would you have seafood restaurants there? Otherwise, it wouldn't be very different from hotels in town. You rely only on water sports facilities. Now, there are geographical constraints to the transport on Lamma Island, so I will ask my colleagues to speak further. Now, this is our planning. As you can see on the screen, in the middle of the development is a ferry pier, as mentioned earlier. This is the main link to the urban areas. Now, there are landing steps on both sides of the pier, so residents and other boats can make use of these landing steps. The pier is right in the middle of the development, so it's just several meters to either side. It's not far. Now, we try to observe the principle of no motor vehicles on the road. Now, as for green vehicles that do not run on petrol or diesel, now we can consider that further. Now, on catering facilities, we know there are quite a lot of seafood stalls at Soku Wan, and so we can also provide a footpath to Soku Wan, the existing restaurant area in Soku Wan, and there will also be, of course, the ferry link to the existing Soku Wan area, and that will also stimulate the commercial activities at the old Soku Wan area. Now, we try to conserve the natural landscape of Lamma Island to preserve the local characteristics. Right now, the seafood stalls of Soku Wan are right opposite the proposed development, so visitors can walk there to enjoy seafood. So whether it's local or foreign visitors, they can easily have access to the seafood street at Soku Wan, and the water sports and recreational facilities will have elements of eco-tour and environmental elements, and people can easily walk up the hill and eventually reach Yongshu-wan and via the footpath. So people will stay on Lamma for a longer period of time. Now, in the year 2000, the government conducted a study called the Development Study for Hong Kong Island and Lamma, and it was then proposed to rebuild the X-Quarry for recreational use. But in stage 1 committee engagement, the government didn't take that as an option. There are 3 options: housing plus tourism, and then there is an option called other, which is rather vague. And you did not include an eco park. Now, the document is very leading. Why do we have such a design? It's based on premises already adopted, and you received 500 comments. Can you tell us about the contents? Is it that too many comments are against housing, so you did not give an account? Now, many green groups wish to convert the X-Quarry site into an eco park, and there was a submission of over 5,000 opinions or comments to the government for having an eco and education center. Now, have you considered that? Have you considered the relative merits? First, to respond to the member, that around about the year 2000, we did the study mentioned. Now, that study actually commenced in 1998. Now, the study proposed to preserve part of the X-Quarry for strategic sewage treatment facility. And later that plan was changed, and so that use was no longer required or catered to. Now, when we consider the OZP for Lamma, as time goes on, we felt that we need to consider further. So it was zoned undecided use, and in 2012 we commenced the current study to see what would be the better uses for the site. And as the Undersecretary said, we took into account the shortage of housing currently. We felt that this site offers an opportunity for some sort of housing development, and in our consultation we heard views from many residents that there should be more housing options for their choice. So we introduced the housing use, but we have not forgotten the recreation and tourism uses as well. So housing development is an element in all 3 options. Is that right? That's already part of your plan. Can you explain? Now, in our study, we consider whether the site is suitable for housing and other uses. So that's one objective of the study. Will it be suitable for eco-park use? Perhaps you can ask that on another occasion. Now, can you tell us about the dissenting views that you received? Stage 1. Actually, the report is uploaded to the website, so you can see the specific contents of the 500 comments. Yes. I'd like to ask the administration. Now, I see that to the east of Lamma Island, that's Apley Chow, and looking at the map, now there's still a lot of land near the so-called the head or the chest of the duck, and that land is of a larger size than the ex-quarry site. So have you considered the site at Apley Chow? You can build subsidized housing there because there are good transport links. Have you considered that? And if not, why not? Secondly, Lamma is an island that's nearest to the main Hong Kong island and the mainland, so there are many visitors on weekends. It's very precious. Now, is our objective to development tourism or to develop housing? Now, if you say there will be 5,000 units, a population of 5,000, 2,000 housing units. So there will be many blocks, maybe 70 or 80 blocks, and they're up to 10 stories tall. So it looks like you are trying to develop housing. It doesn't matter, but you need to be clear in your direction. If you want to develop housing, it's what do you call it on Lantau? It's at Lantau, at Tung Chung, there are new housing developments like this. So it seems that you want to develop housing, and yet you seem to have some kind of Eden. Now you have only one hotel. So it's not very clear. You want to have a resort. Now, Hong Kong people want to have a place to let off steam and relax. Now, Lamma is very big, 1,300 hectares. Now, you can have housing in northern Lantau, and then you have an Eden project in southern Lantau, a large greenhouse, so you can place the entire south of Lamma under that kind of use. So you must be specific, and rather than neither here nor there.
Yes, let me try to give a reply. On Lamma Island, the ecological value is higher in the southern part of the island, so we'll try not to carry out development on the southern part of the island. Concerning the northern part of the island, at the moment there are already people living there. And at the moment, we do not have the critical mass to provide the facilities that are needed. And so on the 20 hectares of land, we think there should be some housing development, but we'll take into account the characteristics of the island. And we hope that there will be vibrancy concerning the development on the northern part of the island. And concerning tourism, I think the member is correct. In fact, in stage 1 of the community engagement exercise, people say that the visitors should be able to enjoy a leisurely holiday, and that's why we've got these proposals. But I think he hasn't answered my first question, yes or no. Yes, Chairman. I want to say that the study concentrates on the ELQ site. We concerning Appalachia, that's not part of the study area in this exercise, right? Mr. Albert Chan. Chairman, I think we see that the Development Bureau is really too desperate, and it blindly, indiscriminately tries to identify land for housing development. So the premise is that you need land for housing development. In fact, I have criticized the Development Bureau many times for indiscriminately trying to find sites for housing development. The Baptist University Chinese Medicine Academy site is one example. The artificial island is another example. So we have a CE who doesn't really know surveying. We have a secretary for development who doesn't know planning at all. No, you spend such a lot of time and effort consulting the public, and only a few thousand people will move into this area. And I think you've wasted a lot of time, a lot of resources, a lot of effort. In fact, you could have made use of this amount of time and effort and resources to develop a new town accommodating 300,000 people. In fact, on one occasion, I and Alan Seaman and some green groups went there, and we all felt it was such a beautiful place. In the UK, an ex-quarry site was turned into the Eden project, and in the first year there were 1.9 million visitors, and there were many elements in that project: tourism, conservation, and so on and so forth. But then in Hong Kong, on this ELQ site, the overriding concern is housing development. So is it that we should have housing development near the West Lake in Hangzhou? For the Eden project, the area is 15 hectares only, and it's such a magnificent project. And here we have 20 hectares of land. Yes, it's good that you're going to conserve part of the area. So yes, I understand that you are really professional planners, but then your hands are tied by the policy, and the policy is to have housing development. In fact, Alan Seaman talked to the persons responsible for the Eden project, and we were asked as to whether we would like to talk to them and learn from them. Of course, Alan Zeman has already been fired by C.Y. Leung. Now, Alan Zeman can no longer be in charge of the Ocean Park. No problem. Ask Alan Zeman to be in charge of the Eden project here, and say let's have the private sector, statutory organization carrying out the project. The government may not need to spend even a cent on the project. So I think planning must be done in a sound manner. Your hands should not be tied by a government policy. Now, in fact, when this project was first discussed, the Undersecretary had not assumed office yet, and I don't wonder if he has read this paper. In fact, the paper was written quite a long time ago. Chairman, I want to say that in Hong Kong we have a very great demand for housing land. And concerning the Tai O HOS flats, there was oversubscription. But I hope that you admit your mistake. Because of the bureaucratic policies, I really don't want to say. Will anyone suggest that housing development should take place alongside Westlake or near the Forbidden City? And why can't you have a housing development on the golf course? You'll be able to build many flats. And we have 2,000 hectares of PLA land. And do you know that the land can accommodate 5 to 6 new towns the size of Tin Shui Wai? Yes, perhaps I can ask Ms. Chair to elaborate, Chairman. Yes, please be concise. Chairman, thank you. On the northeastern part, I want to say that we are aware of Mr. Aberchan's proposal. In fact, we've also studied the Eden project in detail. In fact, it's a very large site, 50 hectares of land, and then there are very huge greenhouses showcasing plant species from different parts of the world. And we've taken into account the unique features of Lamma Island. Yes, we can introduce some elements found in the Eden project to this area. For the man-made lake and the recreation sites nearby, yes, we can incorporate some Eden project elements into this project. For example, organic farming, ecotourism, and so on and so forth. So we think there can be diversified and sustainable development in this area. All right. Time's up. Wu Chi Wai. Thank you, Chairman. Now, what is meant by a community with a population of 5,000? Now, in Mui Wo, the population is about 5,000. So, for Mui Wo, there is land transport to Tung Chung. But then concerning waterborne transport, this is not sufficient. And I think the proposed development here, the proposed development mix is neither here nor there. Now, if you want to build a theme park here, then build a theme park. And then you ask the operator to provide necessary transport connections. I'm worried that those who will move in will find the traveling expenses excessive. Now, you've said that perhaps the middle class will be able to afford the traveling expenses. But I want to say that, in fact, Discovery Bay residents have been complaining about the very high public transport costs. And then, do you know, from Mui Wo for the express ferry, the fare is $40 per trip. So you wish to adopt the tourism plus housing concept. I think you are incorporating too many development concepts into this project. I can see that, in fact, this is a beautiful place. After rehabilitation, the scenery is excellent, and I think a resort hotel will be a very good choice. But then you want to put 5,000 people into this area, and there will be political consequences that that you have to face up to. And then if you need to form the land, if you need to provide the infrastructure, what is the approximate cost? Yes, I think Mr. Chan can answer this question. Yes, Chairman, thank you. In fact, we visited the Sokuwan residents during the initial stage. They told us about their difficulties. There weren't too many residents, and as a result, they were not able to enjoy broadband service, and the ferry service was not satisfactory. So in fact, they also wanted to see an increase in the population on the island. And as this is an island, transport connection has to be waterborne. We've looked at Yongshuwan, and we think we will be able to provide adequate transport services for the residents. What about the cost of providing the infrastructure? Chairman, in fact, at the moment, there are 3 platforms on the ELQ site, and we'll mainly make use of the 3 platforms for development. We'll need to construct roads, piers, we'll need to lay the water mains. But we do not really need large-scale site formation works. We will make use of the 3 existing platforms for development. So we'll make use of the existing platforms. All right, but can you give me an approximate land formation cost? I don't have the figure, but you need to have the figure. You have to go to PWSC. We will do the calculations after we've come up with the RODP. But you're going to go to FC, right? We will do the calculations in the detailed design stage. We need not go to FC in the near future.
Dr. Fernando Chang, I learned from the groups that the Planning Department in the year 2000 conducted a consultant study called on the development of Hong Kong Island South and Lamma Island, and it was felt then that the Ex-Quarry site should be purely for recreation. Now the study was not released. Was that so? Now, that study commenced in 1998. It was proposed that the northeastern part of the quarry would be used for strategic sewage discharge use, and the rest could be used for temporary recreation. And eventually the sewage facilities was not put there. It was felt that there wasn't the need. Can you publish the report? The reports included internal information of the government, so it would not be released. So you would not release your own consultant study, but the public learned that the study concluded that it should be for tourism and recreational use, and yet you would not release the study. Now, the document said that there would be 3 options: one population of 5,000, another 7,000, and the third about 2,800. And you said that you would consult the public, the residents, etc. Now, I learned that the option of 2,800 received the most support, but you are providing us with the option of a population of 5,000. So most people, in fact, wanted the development for the use of eco protection and tourism, and so that included the submission with 5,000 signatures. So why do you put away the proposal of a population of 2,800? Now, during stage 1 public engagement, we received a lot of comments supporting option 2, that is tourism plus housing. Now, at the time, the proposed population was 2,800. So most people supported the tourism plus housing concept, but also many people felt that there isn't enough population. There should be more population to provide more housing units, and also to support more public facilities. Now, of course, you receive all sorts of comments, but you learned from the public engagement exercise which options received the most support, and yet you hide the option that received the most support. Is it that we don't have enough luxury housing in Hong Kong? Who are you building for? Please answer Dr. Cheung's 2 questions. No, we didn't hide any information received. It's true that we received the most support for the tourism plus housing option, but we also received many comments supporting more population. Ms. Chen Yun Han? Now, originally I wasn't going to ask any question. Now, I think the government need to consider certain things. Of course, more housing is preferred, but it's only limited size compared to West Kowloon with 39 hectares. Now, of course, when you ask the public, they want more population because they want more facilities. Now, people have been to Sokuwan. It's very busy. Now, you can have as many ferry trips as Yong Shu Wan. Now, you don't necessarily have to build housing. You should achieve the greatest value, not merely by building housing. Now, if you want to make the area more vibrant, you can have other options. Mr. Undersecretary, I go there often, especially with family. Now, people bring their families there on holidays. Now, you can have many uses of high economic value, such as a facility where people can learn about the operations of fishermen. Now, I'm not against the housing, catering to the housing need, but you should think whether you achieve greater economic value by building housing or what by some whether by some other mode of development. Now, you can see that if you want to put housing there, it's not in sync, in line with the characteristic of that island. Now, if you walk up Sokuwan, the hillside, you really enjoy the view. You see the boats on the sea. Now, of course, you can have value from housing, but there are other uses that are of higher value. Maybe we have spoken out a bit late. Now you put housing for 5,000. So then it would be, once the housing is built, you cannot have redevelopment. Maybe we can go there and have a look. Of course, we take into account members' views. Now, this is stage 2 of public engagement, so we will take on board everyone's views. Well, they might go ahead with the housing and ignore our views. That's why I'm speaking out. You develop public housing, we agree with that, but you can achieve greater value at the existing sites for public housing. Please reconsider. Mr. Chair, now we consider, now we all support optimizing the land use. Now, first, I think we need to consider external links. The Undersecretary mentioned a vibrant local economy. Now, I agree with the others. You plug in a population of 5,000. You say there are not enough external links, so you try to increase the population in addition to the 6,000 at Yongshu-wan, make it 10,000 plus. Now, I don't agree with that. Now, it's such a beautiful site. You can use it for theme park, eco-education, and you can make the economy vibrant that way. Now, if you build housing there, it's neither here nor there. As many have mentioned, we should consider from the perspective of Hong Kong as a whole. Let's not dwell too narrowly. Now, eco-education will draw visitors, and you will support the external links that way. Now, if you inject a population of 5,000, how do you go about building community facilities? The population might not support those facilities, and most ferries are now losing money. The government has to pay them subsidies. Now, if you increase the population, it's not much use. Now, Yongshi Wan and Soku Wan are separated by land in between, so you should have facilities that attract local people as well as foreign visitors. Some kind of theme park, perhaps. Now, some members have been there, and I think they will receive support. Now, you can build housing elsewhere. Now, you are rather arbitrary in your plan. Now, you seem to go not far enough in the right direction. You try to put in a bit of everything, and in the end, you are neither here nor there. We will certainly consider members' views. You cannot just adopt the balanced development concept. Mr. Low? Well, Hong Kong indeed is short of land, and so I think we must not oppose any land use just because it's going to be used for housing. Now, we support land use study. Of course, we can express our view about the planning, but land use planning is necessary. Say Mao On Shan, Park Shek, I'm sure the chairman is familiar. That's part of new territories. Tai O is not merely to conserve the fisherman's village feature. Now, Hong Kong is unique in that it has outlying islands. Now, we must ensure that there are economic activities there as well as habitats for people. We don't just preserve the villages. We don't just preserve the unique restaurants. We must develop with a strategy in mind. So I think for this project, we can discuss further about the details, sure. We are not yet at the stage where one has to approach the Finance Committee immediately. So I think we can adopt an open mind. I think it's a great outlying island. If it merely becomes a theme park and in the evenings everyone leaves, that may not be best. So I think some kind of development is really receiving a majority support by the local residents. And they really need some community facilities. So it seems that there's a bit of everything in this project, but I think that meets actual needs.
I think some members have got it wrong. I believe they are proposing to put in 5,000 people and not 5,000 flats. In fact, I believe many people aspire to enjoy such good living environment. I have some friends who live in Discovery Bay. They enjoy the living environment there. They don't mind having to take a ferry to and from work. And I also think there is a need to construct a resort hotel in this area. I think we don't have too many resort hotels at the moment, and in fact they are all very popular. And then I want to ask a question about the man-made lake. What is the water source for this man-made lake? And I think it's important that the lake is fed with water of good quality. Yes, Chairman, thank you. So the water from the nearby mountains and hills will flow into the man-made lake, and the man-made lake can also be connected to the sea. So there won't be any problem with the water source. So in other words, the water quality in the man-made lake will be good. Yes. Mr. K.K. Kwok. Yes, Chairman. In fact, I've been there before. I've talked to the residents, and I think the Sok Kwu Wan residents want more community facilities. For example, they want a clinic which opens for longer hours every day. They also want dental services. But then they've never told you that they want the population on the island to increase by 5,000. If you've been to Lamma Island, especially Sok Kwu Wan, you know that it's a very quiet community. The development there is not excessive. Both the residents and the visitors find Sok Kwu Wan very attractive, so we don't want to see excessive development. As other members have pointed out, the development proposed there is neither here nor there. And then you're proposing PRH development. Look at Long Tin Estate in Tai O. You're now trying to turn those PRH flats into HOS flats. Government officials work in Central. They do not know the difficulties faced by ordinary members of the public. Do you know that? Do you know the median income for a 4P family living in a PRH flat? And do you know the ferry fare for a round trip? You want to put young families, small young families, into this area. Will there be enough kindergarten places? In Discovery Bay, yes, there are international kindergartens, there are international schools, but not all families can afford international schools. Yes, I understand that you need land for housing development. We're going to discuss Yuen Long South later. So for the brownfield sites, yes, I understand that you want to make use of these sites for PRH development. Yes, I can understand why you plan to do that. But this is Lamma Island. So, how come you want housing development in the area, and there will be the juxtaposition of PRH and luxury flats. The proposed private housing development will be low density development, and I'm sure those will be luxury flats, luxury houses. I think you shouldn't provide PRH or subsidized housing here. Yes, you can build the resort hotel. Do you know that for holiday bungalows provided by the government, the waiting time can be up to a year. And of course, those who have money can go overseas, but those who can't afford it have to queue up for bungalows in Hong Kong, and there is just insufficient supply. Yes, Chairman, I want to say that for subsidized housing, the flats will be HOS flats because we do understand the affordability of PRH tenants. And concerning the outdoor recreation center, it's going to be like similar recreation centers run by NGOs in other parts of the territory. But can we have more outdoor recreation facilities? Now the land belongs to the 7 million people in Hong Kong. Can you give a reply? Chairman. After stage 1 community engagement, the housing and plus tourism concept was chosen. Maybe only those who can afford luxury flats can afford the traveling expenses. Yes, thank you, Chairman. I think this term of government has a more difficult job than the previous terms of government. Now, this term of government has to deal with political reforms. It also has to find more sites for housing development. This term of government regards the housing problem as its top priority. And many people have been saying that more sites should be made available for housing development. Now, under Secretary, some people oppose almost everything proposed by the government. And I think you do not need to heed such comments. I think it's important that you identify suitable sites for housing development. I'll support you in this task. But then, under Secretary, you were asked how much money would be required for land formation, and I heard that you said that you would not be going to FC yet, and you haven't got the calculations, you haven't got the figures. Now, for each project, we need to look at cost effectiveness. Now, say 5,000 people will move to this area. And if the cost is 1 billion, then I will support that idea. But then if you say you need 10 billion, then I may not support you. It's true that the government has a lot of fiscal reserves, but you can't use taxpayers' money indiscriminately. You have to use taxpayers' money wisely. And you don't know how much the project will cost. And you don't know when the project will be completed. When? A decade later? 2 decades later? Or what? So I really want you to tell us the cost effectiveness of the proposal. And of course, the public will oppose the idea of constructing luxury flats in the area. So there will be 1,900 flats, 1,200 private flats, 700 subsidized flats. Now, of course, people. Those who face the most serious housing problems are not those who can afford to buy luxury flats. So, concerning the 1,200 flats, private sector flats, what flats are they? Are you going to be able to make the best use of the land? And I don't want to talk about public transport connections. I am not asking you at this stage whether there will be enough primary school places, secondary school places, but and you also need to provide clinics, hospitals, dental services. I think you really need to tell us the approximate cost of this project. Then I will judge whether it's worthwhile spending this amount of money to provide only 1,000 odd flats. As most of the land is government land, the progress of the project should be rather quick. And then, Mr. Chen can supplement, of course. And then concerning the cost, we still have to finalize the land users and the number of people. So how come you've told us that an additional 5,000 people will move in? So it seems that you're not concerned about the cost. What if the cost is 50 billion? Will you still do it? Will you still go ahead? Yes, Chairman. This is the community engagement exercise stage 2. We will at a later stage calculate the development cost. As I've said just now, we will develop on the basis of the topography there. We've already got 3 platforms, and so basically we're going to have development on the platforms. We only need to provide the roads, the piers, and the drainage, and also the other support facilities. So are we talking about $1 billion or more? I don't have the information. How come? You must have the figures. If I want to set up a peanut store, a store selling peanuts, I need to know how much the cost is, right? If everything goes smoothly, people can start to move in 2021. Thank you. Mr. Leung Kwa Hong? And then we'll start the second round. But I want to tell members that we have 3 more items on the agenda. Mr. Leung Kwa Hong. So there will be a lake. Please speak into the mic. That's an existing lake. I've been to Lamma Island, and I think it would be advisable if you provide more beaches along the shore. So we're going to have HOS flats as well as low density private housing development. All right. So C.Y. Leung said that he would try to find sites to provide accommodation for those who find accommodation unaffordable. So 700 HOS flats. Does it mean that there will be a few hundred more HOS flats in the urban area? Your logic is not that some people want to live on Lamma Island. As a result, you are providing some HOS flats on Lamma Island. Do you know that HOS flats in the urban area are in the greatest demand? And then low density private housing. In fact, those would definitely be luxury flats or luxury houses. So I think there's a problem with your policy. Your policy is flawed. I think what you're proposing to do goes against the pledges that have been made by Mr. C.Y. Leung.
Wait a minute. Now, Mr. Paul Chen, when he instructed you to draw up the development plan for Lamma, what were his instructions? He said, we are going to have 1,200 low-density private housing units. Why is it that it's not more public housing? Now, first, the lake. Now, the lake was used for making prefab units, so it was already there, and we tried to make the use of the existing lake. Now, we also mentioned that we try to make use of land for housing. Now, in 2011 to 12, we try to look at the potential use for the quarry site. Now, as for the housing distribution, we had a lot of discussion before deciding upon the ratio. Now, this expert sent me a WhatsApp. He said that it doesn't deserve the steam of his piss. Now, they said that they didn't want to live in this type of housing. They want to live in the small village houses, not these beautiful low-density housing units. I think people have different requirements. Whom did you consult? Can you provide a name list? Now, as we mentioned, the comments received are all uploaded to the website. We didn't receive any comment that people want to live in small village houses, but some Lamma residents want to have new housing units nearby. So we think that 700 HOS units of the 1900 is a suitable number. As for other housing units, we think that for an outlying island, for ferries from Yongshi-Wan to Central, it takes about half an hour. So this way we can provide alternative housing for some members of the public who can travel to work within a short time and yet to live in a low-density area offering leisure. Well, there are already a lot of housing at Discovery Bay. You can let them build more by that company. Okay, I think members have already asked a lot of questions, and you can follow up in other meetings. Now we have used 2 hours for the first round, 7 members for the second round. Ms. Ann Chang first. Now, you are doing no more than a feasibility study. You are hoping to listen to more views. Now, I think it's a good thing to try to have new developments, but I have a couple of suggestions. I think development is in Hong Kong right now is lacking one thing. You haven't provided a place for elderly people to live, a good environment for them. Now, I traveled around. For instance, I went to Yosemite Park in the U.S. Nearby, there is a lot of housing for the elderly. It's housing not for the young people. Also, in San Diego Bay, there are also a lot of retired people. They have the world-famous SeaWorld and San Diego Zoo. So very often on weekends, the young come to visit the elders, and so they can have places to for recreation. So I suggest that you need to consider that for housing you can have low density units, but these should be specifically for the elderly. For instance, half for elderly in subsidized housing, the other half for middle class elderly. Now, for those living in subsidized housing in the urban areas, they move in here and they vacate their units for other elderly people. And so you can offer facilities for them here. And for Lo So Shing in the south, it's a very valuable protection area. Don't build hotels there. You can have small huts for or other facilities for the young people to camp there. Let's leave them some time to answer, please. We thank Ms. Cheng for her views. We will consider those. You will consider the views regarding elders, yes. Albert Chen. I really advise the administration to be open-minded in its studies and not take the route of the Central Artificial Island. Now, if you provide this sort of document when it comes to your request for funding, I will certainly fight you. Now, you say some will be high-density housing, or you might adopt the Eden project concept. So you can be open-minded, you can engage a consultant to do a study, but don't tell me that you will engage in an interim feasibility study, like in the case of the Central Artificial Island. Now, many members have not been there. Now, I climbed up the hill on 2 occasions. It was beautiful. Now, according to some green groups, some of the eagles that were in danger of becoming extinct are found there once again. So you should do something that's good, taking into account all the circumstances. Now, if you want to enhance tourism, you can build hotels. This is something that Hong Kong needs. You have to consider the most suitable use of the land concerned. You mustn't decide on housing and then just build housing there, even though that is not helpful at all. Now, the Undersecretary, you were on the post for a short time. You have been on the post a short time only. Now, I don't know If Mr. Chairman, you have been there before, maybe we can go there in September. If Mr. Paul Chen is here, I would certainly be declare a war. Next, Chen Yun Han. The administration should be more open to our comments. Now, it mustn't insist on building housing just because we object. Again, this is not a large site. Now, you can accommodate more housing just by rezoning. I am sorry, Assistant Director. You can talk about ratios of different types of housing, but you must be practical. It's a very attractive piece of land. You should try to target the maximum economic value. You shouldn't just work by ratios. You have to be a good planner in that way. Now, we just want the best use of the land. Now, we are not pursuing party lines. You should adopt the best use for the land and not just object to our suggestions. No comment. Next, Mr. Wu Chi-wai. Just now, the Development Bureau said that they do not know the cost. Now, this is hard to imagine. They don't even have a rough estimate, which was what I asked for. And you said you would have sewage treatment plant and refuse collection point. Now, you must let us know roughly the amount, because otherwise people will keep asking that in the Finance Committee. Now, you have also to learn from the experience, say, of Peng Chau and Silver Mine Bay, Tai O with Long Ping Estate. Now, in Tai O, after being vacant for 10 years, the housing had to be sold as HOS. Now, so the experience of those estates tell us that your proposals are not practical. When you relocate 5,000 people there, will you be able to offer enough transport facilities? Now, you say people may have to take a boat to Soku Wan first. Now, from Discovery Bay to Silver Mine Bay, now if you want to take a connecting boat trip, it doesn't work. Now, so are you saying that people will travel to Central in yachts? So in the end, transport facility will be a major problem.
So perhaps you should consider developing the area into a theme park, and the operator will have to consider how to provide the transport connections. And please don't put in 5,000 people and then some shopping facilities, thinking that the 5,000 people will be stranded on the island and they will definitely use the shopping facilities. Yes, Chairman. In fact, we did make reference to the Eden Project in the UK. The Eden Project is a large-scale theme park. But then for Lamma Island, we are proposing passive recreational uses and an element of ecotourism. The proposed uses are in line with the serene character on Lamma Island. The atmosphere is leisurely and we don't not want to cause too much environmental or visual impact. So we have an element of tourism, and we also will have low to medium density housing development. And we think this is in line with the intention to carry out conservation on the island. So are you saying that if we have something like the Eden Project here, then there will be greater impact on the environment and on the ecology? Do you have any reports pointing to such a conclusion? Well, we haven't had a study on the provision of a theme park in the area, but if a theme park is provided, there will be many more people than the number under our present proposal. So we haven't carried out a detailed assessment on the impact of having a theme park there. Mr. Leung Chi Chang, sorry, because I had to shuffle between, I have to shuffle between two meetings. I have another worry, Chairman, and that relates to the provision of public facilities. In fact, the Rural Committee Chairman has told me many times that there isn't adequate medical service on the island. The existing population is about 5,000, and about another 5,000 will move in. But then you provide these facilities on the basis of the Hong Kong planning standards and guidelines. And because Lamma Island is not easily accessible, many medical professionals are unwilling to work on Lamma Island. I understand that very often on Saturdays and Sundays there's only a nurse there. There isn't even a doctor. So will you be providing more medical services for the residents as the population will increase? Ms. Chair. Yes, Chairman, thank you. We've reserved a site for a community health center, and there will also be an integrated service center. Some have suggested that the medical center should operate longer hours or even round the clock. We haven't got the detailed arrangements yet, but we will definitely relay the comments received to the departments concerned. So, Chairman, Lamma Island is a remote island. So I'm worried that our police officers will only patrol the island on alternate days, and I'm worried that even with the health center completed, the medical professionals will not be willing to work in that center. Ms. Alice Mack. Chairman, I am sympathetic towards the administration's objective to identify sites for housing development. But this development proposal is neither here nor there. Only 700 flats, subsidized flats, can be provided. This is not a large number. And I don't think the subsidized housing development will be compatible with the private housing development. So as Ms. Chen has said, if you really need to provide housing on the island, you can provide hostels, youth hostels. Yes, I agree that there should be some development on Lamma Island. Water sports centers, tourism facilities, I think that's a good idea. The theme is clear. But you are now also proposing private as well as subsidized housing development. I think it's really neither here nor there. Why not just develop ecotourism? And concerning housing development, I know that the Development Bureau has identified many sites for housing purpose. And is it really worth the while going to so much trouble, making so much effort to provide 700 flats? The planning department has told us that a theme park will cause a lot of adverse environmental impact. I beg to differ. I used to work in a theme park, and I don't agree that a theme park will cause more adverse environmental impact than housing development, unless you are telling me that there will be fireworks display every day, every evening. So I hope that you can study the development concept again, especially the part on housing development. Yes, we will consider the suggestion carefully. All right. So, members have spoken for a total of more than 20 times. So I thank the administration for their reply. And I hope that the administration can consider members' views carefully. All right, let's move on to the next item. Planning and engineering study for housing sites in Yuen Long South investigation, preliminary outline development plan and stage 2 community engagement. Let's invite the administration in. So let me welcome the administration's representatives. I think members have all got the attendance list, and so I will not be introducing the officials to members. All right, so I understand that there will be a PowerPoint presentation for us. Please be concise. Yes, Chairman. Let me say a few words on the planning and engineering study for housing sites in Yuen Long South investigation. We're now in stage 2 of the community engagement with regard to PODP. The CE has said that there will be about 150 hectares available in Yuen Long South, and the administration will look at how the land can be used for housing development. We've looked at the development potential of Yuen Long South, and in the policy address 2013, the CE said that the area could be used to increase housing supply in the long run. So planning and engineering study started, and then in April 2013, stage 1 community engagement started. On the 23rd of April 2013, we briefed the development panel. Members can refer to Annex 1 for the views expressed by the public. And we've got the PODP. And in May 2014, we started stage 2 community engagement. The period for the stage 2 community engagement will end on the 14th of July. And we are here to brief members on the PODP. We will give members the views of the stakeholders, and we also hope to listen to your views. And now I would like to invite the Assistant Director, Ms. Zhang, to take members through the presentation. Yes, thank you, Chairman. For Yuen Long South, the potential development areas have a total area of 260 hectares. And the Hong Shui Kiu new development area is nearby. And I want to say that there is general support for the idea to optimize the development potential of brownfield sites for housing purpose. And some have said that abandoned agricultural land should also be developed for housing purposes. And some have said that for open storage yards and rural industrial uses, they should be consolidated into multi-story flat factory buildings. But some existing operators object to the development of brownfield sites. They are of the view that their livelihood will be affected. And of course, most people support environmental improvement. And residents hope that their living place will not be affected by the proposed development. And some indigenous villagers want the village-type development zone to be expanded. And some have said that active farmland should be preserved and abandoned agricultural land rehabilitated. Some have said that the development density should be compatible with the surrounding setting, and there should be more shops at street level, and integration and connectivity must be enhanced. And some have given views on traffic and transport. And for Yuen Long Nulla, many in the district hope that it can be decked. And at the same time, some green groups want the Yuen Long Nulla to be preserved. They do not want the Yuen Long Nulla to be decked, and they also want to see the Nulla revitalized, and they think that ecological resources should be preserved.
Now, on implementation, some residents and shopkeepers feel that there should be reasonable compensation and relocation arrangements. Now, on development mode, some people support private participation, cooperation, and some people support resumption of land by the government. So these are the main views collected in Stage 1 community engagement, and we came up with the following general overall planning and design framework. Mainly, we want to accommodate the fact that there is a new town nearby and a country park to the south, and through development, we can enhance the links of Chunwan South with the surrounding areas. In the north, there should be a development mode similar to Newtown, and to the south near the country park, there would be decreasing population density so as not to have a big negative impact on the environment. And in the middle part, we preserve an area of agricultural land, natural streams, and forests, and we also want to provide a ventilation corridor and breezeways and view corridors. So we think that there will be a population of about 1 million and about plot ratio of 1 to 5. The first batch of people moving in would be in 2025. That would be rather optimistic. In the next stage, we will have a more detailed assessment to establish the exact time. Now, there will be the expected population is about 80,000 rather than 1 million. Now, there will be 3 areas. The first is the residential, is the urban living area. The plot ratio will be from 5 in the north to 4 in the south, and then we have the lowest living area with plot ratio ranging from 4 to 1.5 in the south, and then we have the garden community area. We will preserve the low density areas that exist right now, and so there will be a plot ratio of 1. And now the fourth area is agriculture and natural landscape area, and we can see that there is agricultural land that is preserved, and then there will be secondary forests and natural streams that will be zoned green belts that will be preserved. And then near the Yunlong Highway, we propose that there will be an employment belt, and this is to consolidate the open air storage and rural industrial use on both sides of the road. And in Area 5, in the eastern part, there will be a multi-story industrial area with a plot ratio of 4. In the west, there will be open storage area. Now, on both sides of Kung Road, there is a lot of open storage of large size machinery and construction materials, so they do require open storage. Now, for road network, we will improve the roads and connect to Yuen Long New Town and the Hong Shui Kiu New Development Area. There will be new road networks, and Yuen Long South, it will also have its own new road network. Now, on public transport, we propose that there will be feeder service at the main interchange points, and we will also investigate environmentally friendly transport system to connect with the proposed Hong Shui Kiu NDA. Also for pedestrian and cycling network, now we will try to improve the links with Yuen Long New Town and Hong Shui Kiu New Development Area, and we will also connect to the Thailand Country Park via cycle track network. And we look also at Yuen Long Area 13, that is to the north. There are 3 sites here that have not been developed for years, even though they are located in Yuen Long New Town. So we propose that these 3 areas can be developed along with Yuen Long South, and at the next stage we will look in detail at the type of housing. Now, the Stage 2 committee engagement started in May, and it will end on 14th of July. Last week, we had a committee forum. It was attended by over 400 local participants, and they offered many views. Now, the views are broadly similar to those received in Stage 1. Many support housing development, many support the use of brownfield sites, but they also want the transport links to be addressed. And the next stage, we will collect the views received and amend the preliminary outline development plan, and then we will begin Stage 3 of public engagement. Members, questions? Albert Chen? Now, I may not object to the general direction of the plan, contrary to what Mr. Lam Tai Fai said, but you must explain to the public the rationale and logic, because the Yuen Long New Town was developed over recent years. Now the private developers were able to build developments of tens of stories high, tall, and you also will have the Hong Shui Kiu development. Now, how do you position the development of Yuen Long South? Now, in the context of the Yuen Long development, you have Tin Shui Wai, Hong Shui Kiu, and then you have in west you have Kam Tin, and then Mr. Paul Chen seems to have all sorts of objectives. Now, you have to tell me what are your plans are. Why is it that the blue areas is left vacant now in the red area, and the low-house living area, the plot ratio is 4. It's very much to the south, whereas near the Yuen Long Town Center, the garden area, you have a plot ratio of 1, because people generally feel that closer to town center, you should have a higher plot ratio, and a lower ratio further away from the town center. So can you tell me which consortium owns the area land in which area. Now, Kut Hong, now the plot ratio is 5 because the consortium is more powerful there. Now, where the land is owned by the farmers, then you zone the area as rural. Now, are you zoning according to the strength of the consortia or according to real planning needs? Mr. Chair? Now, on positioning, right now, Yuen Long South is mainly to be an extension of New Town, mainly is for residential use. It will not be a major point for an area for economic activity because it is not directly connected by railroads, so it's mainly residential. Now, that's not clear in your positioning because there's a Yuen Long, you see here it's Yuen Long Highway. Now, you can have a bus interchange here, so that's what you have in Tin Shui Wai. That will already make the area very accessible. Now, the transport issue, now it's up to you to design a transport node because there will be a future railroad station at Hong Shui Kiu. Well, Hong Shui Kiu is to be residential. Now, for why is it that the Garden Committee is to have a plot ratio of 1? Because there are existing developments that are of low rise in nature. So you determine based on the existing housing there. So what are the existing structures in the red and green areas, in areas 1 and 2? Now, for land ownership, we only examine which land belongs to the government and which is private. So how much of it, the land here is government land? About 20% is government land. Which color? The red land, the urban living area, is it government land? Mostly it's private land. So where the land belongs to the consortia, you have plot ratios of 4 and 5. The government land is mainly land for roads and drainage. Now, so you give a higher plot ratio to land owned by the consortia. I don't know whether the land is owned by the consortia. Don't tell me you don't know who owns what land. Clearly, you are zoning or making your plans based on the land ownership. The planning department says it doesn't know which land is owned by whom, whether the land is owned by the consortia. Even the chairman is laughing. You see Wayne. I think we should try to find land for housing. Otherwise, we cannot meet the needs of the future generations. Now, in identifying Yuen Long South for residential development, it is also considering the needs for agriculture. Now, in Yuen Long area, people are not growing vegetables only. They are also serving tourism related purposes. People can rent small plots of land for farming, for people to experience farming. Now, this is very helpful, I think, but it's very scattered. Now, when you try to develop agriculture and animal husbandry, perhaps you can concentrate that in some areas.
So, of course, abandoned agricultural sites can be rehabilitated. Can there be bigger farms? People can rent a field and try farming. And I understand that in South Korea, there are farms where people can go there and feed the sheep. I think in Hong Kong we really need these facilities. Can you carry out planning along these lines? And have you received demands or such demands from the residents? So we are still in the stage 2 community engagement exercise. We want to listen to the public views. We're for the agricultural sites preserved. I think these sites can be used for people to go there and farm on their holidays. I understand that there are certain hygiene restrictions. For example, the fruit tree for the fruit trees, the fruit can be sold, but you can't really make fruit juice and then sell the fruit juice. We do not want to see merely high-rise buildings or the development of high-rise buildings. We want to see farming, the farming of crops, and also animal husbandry. Yes, we will take on board Mr. Yu's suggestion, and will relay the suggestion to the Food and Health Bureau. Mr. Lam Tai Fai, thank you. Chairman, land development is important as society is developing and moving forward. And whenever there is land development, some will stand to benefit, some will suffer losses. And we need to minimize the losses suffered by those concerned. Yes, it's easy to tell people to make sacrifices for the overall good. But if you are the ones who will suffer, then are you willing to make such sacrifices? And so concerning who will be affected, who can benefit, whether compensation will be paid, these are all very complicated issues. For Yuen Long South, the scale of development is smaller than that of NT. But then if you can't really do the job well, then Yuen Long South is like another bomb. And then the administration said that it didn't know who owned the sites, and it would not deliberately include such sites into the development zone. I think you really have to make sure that you can give very satisfactory explanations to those affected. In Northeast NT, Ho Chi Kung said that the compensation should be $2 million. Some said that the residents were too greedy. Some said that $2 million was in fact not enough. And I hope that you will try to understand what the residents want. Now, if you can't work out an acceptable compensation package for Northeast NT, you will face the same problems when you start other development projects. Mr. Lau Wong Fat and Hung Yik Kok are extremely experienced in the development of new towns. So I think you should seek the advice of the chairman and also the advice of the Hung Yik Kok. I'm not trying to please you in saying this, chairman, but I think we must find solutions that work. Yes, concerning the expansion of the landfills and incinerator, we are told that Hong Kong will be besieged by rubbish if these projects do not go ahead. But then concerning those who will have to suffer, concerning the affected residents, what can you do for them? We can easily tell others to sacrifice, but are you willing to sacrifice if you are the ones affected? And then, for example, will you build a light rail station in Yuen Long South? And then, will you provide libraries, markets, basketball courts? You have to tell people what the community will look like, and as a result, people will want to move there. And please do not create another Northeast NT case. People keep protesting outside the Legco. They keep complaining. Yes, Chairman, thank you. In fact, our colleagues have been talking to the residents of Yuen Long South. A consultation meeting has just been held. The views collected will be reflected to the relevant bureaus and departments. We want to minimize any adverse impact caused to the residents. Thank you. You said you had heard my views. So concerning the compensation package for Northeast NT, do you think $2 million is excessive or not enough? So will you study his proposal and then give him a reply? Now the secretary has said that we need to make a good use of public funds, and this amount far exceeds what is allowed under our mechanism. So you have to view that $600,000 is very reasonable and $2 million is excessive. But then what about 1.2 million or 1.35 million? Or is it that the amount can only be $600,000, no more? We'll consider at the next stage. No, don't evade the issue. Now, yes, Mr. Howe has proposed $2 million. If you do not respond positively, then some may come out and say $2.4 million, and I may even come out and tell you that maybe you should pay $20 million. So you must face up to the issue, right? Alice Mack. And then also Leung Chi Cheong and Chen Yun Han. Thank you, Chairman. For Yuen Long South, it has to be looked at in conjunction with Hong Shui Kiu. So as to how we can make use of brownfield sites in Yuen Long South, you also need to take into account coordination with the development in Hong Shui Kiu. Yes, I understand that some land will be reserved for the logistics industry, and I understand that the same will happen in Hong Shui Kiu. The problem is whether the logistics industry really welcomes the sites you've reserved for the industry. Will they think the sites are suitable sites? Now perhaps you can talk to the logistics industry. They are not very interested in the sites reserved for them in these two development areas. They don't think these are suitable sites. So, do you think simply reserving some logistics sites will be helpful and useful? You think that jobs will be provided by the logistics industry in these two development areas, but will these jobs really materialize? For Yuen Long South and Hong Shui Kiu, you plan to develop the logistics industry. You want the industry to provide jobs for the people. I think you need to consider whether the industry really welcomes the sites. Now, at the moment, they are using the sites in Yuen Long South and Hong Shui Kiu because the sites are cheap. They are cheap. But if the sites become expensive, they may not want to use the sites. And also in Yuen Long South and Hong Shui Kiu, there are heritage sites. For example, there are temples with a history of decades, and you may require the temples to be relocated. So I really hope that you can look at this development plan together with the Hong Shui Kiu development plan. In carrying out development, please do not uproot people's history and traditions. There is the Pingshan Heritage Trail. Can you group the monuments into a heritage trail? Can there be heritage tourism? And then can there be markets? Or market bazaars? And then can there be heritage tourism for the various monuments? Yes, please be concise. Thank you, Chairman. For the brownfield sites and the open storage sites, we've heard the views of the industry. We've attended residents' meetings. We have also held meetings with the logistics operators. The operators have told us that at the moment they are paying low rentals. And we really need to consider in the next stage how we can help these operators continue with their operations. And then concerning the temple or the temples, there is the Kam Lan Temple. In fact, many of the followers attended last week's resident meeting. At the moment, the temple is not served by roads, and so we're looking at a reprovisioning option, and for that site it will be served by roads. But then it seems that the followers want the temple to remain on the present site. So we will consider all these views after the second stage community engagement. Long Chi Chang, the project was discussed by the district council. The district council basically expressed support. But then I think it's important that more roads be provided, as we are talking about an additional 80,000 people moving in. And then the open storage sites and also industrial users, where can these be accommodated? I want to say that there are 4 main areas of development, and it seems that public housing is the mainstream development. Now, I can understand this. Now, if the government uses its resources to acquire land and then sell the land to private developers, and then private developers develop or construct flats, yes, the government may be able to make some money, but then the landowners will suffer losses because the government tends to acquire land at rather low prices, and then the land may be sold and at a very high price, and then the flats may also be sold at a very high price. And when you provide public housing, you of course need to provide roads. Kongyam Road cannot cope with on the population. So is it that you're going to build a new road, Shapat Hung, Tong An San Chun, all the way up to the interchange?
No, this road will be more useful. Now, even if you improve Kong Am Road, you may not serve the needs. Now, the residents are asking whether you can deck the Nala. Now, you can sort of deck half of it, so as to preserve some sort of natural stream. That's better than completely decking over the Nala, because downstream is Yuen Long Town. So the district council is not in favor of decking the Nala. Perhaps you can deck half of it and preserve the other half to preserve the natural stream. And further south, you have private housing, and it's low density, so more greening is preferred rather than too much of the transport networks and artificial arrangements. So I think environmentally friendly transport is preferred. Also, the traffic interchange may not be adequate. There's already a lot of traffic from Tin Shui Wai. So if you put in more traffic, the linkage point may not be able to cope. Now, actually, we've heard views like those of the member in our consultation. Now, Kong Am Road is a issue under study. We will try to study how we can enhance the environment, and half decking is under study now. And then we are also trying to improve the interchange node. Chen Yun Han, just now Mr. Lam Tai Fai made his comments. Now, the government is reviewing the development of northeastern new territories. I think the government needs to consider the issue. Now, the government hasn't learned enough from the Choi Yun Chun experience. Now, when the land is resumed, we need to consider the indigenous residents. Now, we need to let everyone profit from development. So when we take the land, we need to consider. Now, the government should offer enough compensation and let them share in the gains. Otherwise, you will encounter similar problems of the northeastern New Territories, as Mr. Lam Tai Fai said. I mentioned the Choi Yun Chun example, but the government hasn't paid enough attention. In other countries where land is developed and it's valuable land, everyone should profit. It's like Tai Hang back then. There's a building that had to be demolished. At the time, it was said that developers gain and also the original residents they gain as well because they were offered compensation. Now the government seems to have retrogressed. It hasn't learned from the experience. If you development Yuen Long South, you will encounter the same problem. Amy, you will make the decisions. I hope you do better than in northeastern New Territories. Now, will it be public-private partnership or all done by the government? Now, 80% of the land is owned by the private sector, and will the agricultural land encounter the same situation as for Kutong South? You tell people to go from Kutong North to farm in Kutong South. Now, we should not let the developers gain only. The residents should be also allowed to gain. Now, we should learn from the example, the experience of Kutong South and Kutong North. Will it be public-private partnership or all by the government? Now, on the development mode, we're still of an open mind. Some residents feel that the government may develop more quickly a new town if it's when it comes to private partnership, we need to address the infrastructure issue, and we may work on the basis of mixed mode, and we need to consider that 80% of the land is owned by the private sector. I reiterate, the government should consider let all parties win, learning from the experience of northeastern New Territories. Let's all share in the fruits of development. That's well put. Now, Yuen Long South is not a small development, population of 80,000, 26,000 units. Now, the groups tell us that government's advisors admit that the plan is staying away from the village-type development of the indigenous villagers. So the land for village house development is not touched at all. So the farmers are at a weak position. They rent land from the original farmer owners, and they build structures and farm thereon. There wasn't any formal contract. They just relied on verbal promises, and they've been there for decades. And the land has now become valuable to the landowner, even though it may not be zoned for residential use, but the land all around has become valuable, so it will try to get rid of the renters. So will you have measures to protect these people who rented the land? Now, when you have a plan, you should immediately register the people who are doing the farming. Now, these are non-indigenous people, so when they are forced to move away by the landowners, the government should be able to provide them with some kind of support and assistance. Well, let me first explain about the planning. We are not trying to stay away from land owned by indigenous villagers. We mainly select the brownfield sites for development because they have the potential. So it's most of the 216 hectares. And we also try not to have an impact on the original resident or indigenous villages. So Shaching village and Tin Long Chun, they are non-indigenous villages. So we try to not to affect them, and the same for other similar villages. Now, some of them have asked us whether their structures will not be affected by the development. Now we try to register those structures, and we will try not to affect these structures. Now this is good, but this is passive. Now they learn about this and then they approach you. Only then did you have the information. Would you take the initiative to take a snapshot of who are the farmers affected? What are the structures on the sites? Which sites are under farming when these people are forced to move away, you would be able to provide assistance to them. You compensate the landowners, but the actual people who do the farming may have been there for 2 or 3 generations. Now let me supplement. This is stage 2 public engagement. Implementation of the final OZP will still be some time away. So when we register the population and take a snapshot, it will be something that we will certainly embark upon. Mr. Elenio? Why is it that we see Mr. Paul Chen, the Secretary, so seldom in these meetings? In the last term Mrs. Carrie Lam was always in our meetings. Mr. Paul Chen must be very busy. Now, I agree with Ms. Chen Yun Han and with the chairman that the fruits of development should be shared. So we should have a win-win situation for everyone. Now, okay, I will not insist on answer about Paul Chen.
And now my question is this. How are you going to learn from the Choi Yun Chun experience and also the Northeast NT experience? How can there be a win-win situation? How can there be the sharing of the benefits by all? In fact, some have suggested that land in Kutong South and Yuen Long South be used for development so that people's homes in Northeast NT will not be taken away, and so that people who have been farming in Northeast NT for over 6 decades will not have to stop farming. So I want to know the timetable of Yuen Long South development vis-a-vis the timetable for Northeast NT development. So there will be planning for Yuen Long South and also planning for Kutong South. And when the planning reaches a certain stage, will you be able to come to the realization that in fact you need not uproot people in the Northeast NT? Yes, Chairman. Now, the first batch of people should move in 2025, Chairman. That is on the condition that everything progresses smoothly. In Yuen Long South, 80% of the land identified for development is private land. And so we'll have to look at the implementation details. There will definitely be challenges as to whether Yuen Long South development can replace Northeast NT development. We've explained many times that Yuen Long South is an area where we have in mind long-term land development. Then I want to say that every time we have a development project, we'll learn from previous experience, we'll try to do a good job. But then my first question has not been answered. How can there be mutual benefit? How can there be a win-win situation? How can people be able to share the benefits of the development? Chairman, it's quite impossible to satisfy everybody when we carry out development project, but we hope that those who feel satisfied or happy will outnumber those who feel unhappy. Now, I don't think you should be using words like satisfied or happy. People in Northeast NT complain that they simply do not know how you're going to acquire the land and so on and so forth. You really have to learn from experience. In Fanling North and Kutong, we have liaison teams liaising with the residents. But of course, before us is Yuen Long South. All right, second round, 3 minutes, all right, because we have 2 more items on the agenda. And I do not want to have to defer any item to a future meeting. Mr. Lam Tai Fai, I don't mind whether the secretary or the undersecretary is attending our meeting. I think what is more important is whether the official has the sincerity in answering our questions. I think the quality of the replies is important. We do not want officials who lead us around in circles. And then it is said that some people have suggested that open storage yards and rural industrial uses be consolidated into multi-story flatted factory buildings. You know, I used to operate industrial undertakings. I don't know who has given this suggestion to you. Do you think it's really feasible? The Hong Kong government doesn't have an industrial policy. What's the purpose of building factory buildings? The government wants to revitalize factory buildings in the urban area. So industrial buildings in the area and the industrial buildings in the urban area are being revitalized. The government doesn't have an industrial policy. And concerning the open storage yards or garages, they land intensive industrial uses. And what industries do you think will move into the multi-story flatted factory buildings? Jewelry, toys, or what? So I think you have to look at which industries will move into these multi-story buildings. And it's costly to build these buildings, so we do not want buildings to become only the homes for rats. So can the recycling industries, for example, move into multi-story buildings? You're talking about multi-story factory buildings. These are not industrial estates. So who will want to move into these multi-story factory buildings? Are you talking about Shap Pat Hang, Tai Tong? And do you think SMEs will move in, and can containers be handled there? And I'm worried that even if you provide the premises to industries rent-free, operators will not want to move in. Chairman, now concerning existing brownfield sites, many of them are at the moment used for open storage. For example, storage of construction materials and so on and so forth. But then for the multi-story factory buildings, the headroom is not enough. So that's why we need specially designed factory buildings, taller headroom, and also premises where vehicles or goods trucks can reach. So are you mainly talking about storage? Yes, storage. Then I think we're talking about warehouses, go-downs, not factory buildings. We mainly talking about trying to consolidate existing users into these buildings. How many stories are we talking about? 6. But we'll iron out the details in the next stage. But I don't think this is really a pragmatic or realistic idea. Ms. Alice Mack. Yes, Chairman, I want to talk about logistics, the logistics industry. There will be dozens of hectares of land in Hong Shui Kiu. If you intend to provide warehouses, but we're talking about Yuen Long South, not Hong Shui Kiu. Yes, let me finish. I think that 2 should be developed in tandem. If you intend to do it in Hong Shui Kiu, then you need not do it again in Yuen Long South. There are some industrial uses which cannot be accommodated in factory buildings. So why can't you reserve some land for open storage and for container storage in Yunnan South? That's why I'm saying that the two developments should be looked at together. Because not all the present uses can be accommodated in multi-story factory buildings. So that's why I think we should give the logistics industry a choice. In fact, during the summer recess, I'll be talking to those in the logistics industry what sites they need. Now, I think you need to provide sites which they need, which can suit their needs. So I think during the summer recess, we should be talking to the logistics industry. You want to have the logistics industry creating jobs for the district, but that may not happen, and as a result, people will have to travel to other districts to work, and there will be more traffic demand generated. Thank you, Ms. Mack. I believe the administration will be grateful for your assistance. Yes, thank you very much, Ms. Mack. We also want to know what the industry wants. As Mr. Lam Tai Fai has pointed out, we want to know what they need. We want to know which operations can be accommodated in the multi-story buildings. Dr. Fernando Zhang. And then we'll move on. Dr. Fernando Zhang. Yes, Chairman. The Northeast NT experience tells us that people living there knew of the development at a rather late stage. And so concerning Yunnan South, have you sent letters to all the concerned households? Yes, Chairman. Now, in fact, the information has been sent to all households, including households living in licensed houses. In other words, all households covered by the post office. Oh yes, that's an improvement. Now, because I understand that an alliance has visited the farmers, and there are about 10 hectares of active farmland, and there are these farmers who do not know that the government has plans to develop a new town in Yunnan South. These people are farmers. They get up early in the day, they work in the fields, and then they go home and rest. It seems that the amount of active farmland will be reduced to 5 hectares, and many of these farmers are in fact tenant farmers. The landlords are now beginning to terminate the tenancy agreements with the farmers. I understand that development won't take place till a few years later, but then landlords have decided not to renew the tenancy agreements. They've chosen to fence up the areas because they know that the land will be valuable. And these farmers will not be eligible for any compensation. So how can you make sure that the farmland can still remain active until you need the land for development? And then do you have any measures to make sure that these farmers will be protected and their interests will be protected? You said that household registration will not be feasible, right?
Already explained the current approach. My colleague, please. We thank Dr. Cheung for his question. Now, we register first after the plan has been become confirmed. So, for the agricultural land that's under farming, we will try to preserve the use, and we register the population rather than the activity. Now, so I'm asking about whether there are new ways rather than the current practice. Now, this is our current mechanism. I would be glad to further talk to Dr. Cheung on how we can follow up. So we will come to the next item of agenda. I'd like to extend the meeting by 15 minutes so that we can pursue items 3 and 4 concurrently. No objection. So we thank the administration officials in respect of item 2. And now we invite in the officials for items 3 and 4. Items 3 and 4, that is revision of fees and charges under mine safety regulations, Cap 285B, dangerous goods general regulations, Cap 2895B, and general goods, government explosives depots regulations, Cap 295D, under the purview of the Civil Engineering and Development Department. I'd like to welcome the government representatives. I will not introduce them one by one. Please brief us succinctly. The document is about 27 charges under 3 regulations. These are about licenses, permits, and the transport services, the fees and charges therefore. And we calculate that we are unable to recover the cost based on current prices. So we try to recover the costs by steps. So we will raise the fees by 5.9% to approximately 20%. The Water Supplies Department, please. There are also 17 charges that are not livelihood related. They are mostly about connection of drains, installation of water meters, and licenses for plumbers, and fishing licenses, anglers licenses. So we try to recover the costs by raising from 4.6% to approximately 20%. Questions, please. 4 minutes each, including replies by the administration. Mr. Yu Si Wing. first about explosives. An adjustment is appropriate because it's last adjusted in 1997. But the question is, what are the standards? Now, you haven't adjusted for over a decade, and now you have large adjustments. You are saying that you charge a higher increase when for a certain recovery rate, cost recovery rate. Now, it's very confusing, 7%, 10.2%, so people do not know your standards. Perhaps you can be more clear. When the cost recovery rate is a certain percent, then I increase by 10%. So your table is confusing. Now, if it's so you can round up as appropriate. And you can have a review every 3 or 5 years and make that a standard approach rather than having no adjustment for over a decade. Now, on the water supplies department, now they adjusted last year and then again this year, and the government is saying that they want to have a cost recovery rate of 100%. But what is the standard? Are you going to have an annual adjustment? Will that put too much pressure on the stakeholders? When the plumbers have to get license renewals or take exams, they have to pay. You have to consider that. Don't adjust every year in order to recover your costs, because individuals are affected. Now, you can charge fees of $1,000 or $2,000 in respect of companies, but you should try not to affect the individuals so much. Now, and also, will you cause the water charges to be increased in the future by increasing these costs? So you can have we can have 5 minutes for this question. Now, we actually already had a review in 2004, but at the time the cost recovery ratio was close to 100%, so we didn't make further reviews. And then we had another review in 2008. At that time, for safety considerations, we enhanced the on-site inspection, so we spent more time on the cost for such work procedures. So it took us a bit more time. So whether it's now CDD or water supplies, basically review the charges once every year. Now, on the magnitude of adjustment, that's in accordance with Para 3, Basically, the approach is consistent. We look at the cost recovery rate. If it's under 40%, then we charge a higher increase. If it's over 70%, then we have a lower percentage increase. That's in order to comply with the user pays principle. We consider also the burden on the users. And also the charges increases should have no impact on water charges. Can you consider being more lenient to the individuals and not have adjustments every year? We understand that. Dr. Fernando Cheung, I also agree with Mr. Yu Si Wing that the impact on companies would be smaller if fees are increased, whereas if plumbers wish to get licenses or where individuals have to pay as a result, then the livelihood of these people are affected. Now, you say you want to recover the cost in respect of explosives, etc. Is there any general principle on what types of service would be subject to the cost recovery principle? Or is it that all government services will have to recover costs from the users? And what are the criteria for recovery? Now, for these charges, we try to achieve the recovery of cost, but I have no information on other government services. Now, it's very difficult for me to say whether this principle applies generally. I do not have the information. Now, I'm not familiar with explosives or dangerous goods or water pipes. Now, I'm just asking whether there should be a broad principle on which are people's livelihood-related items. What should be the criteria to differentiate? Now, it seems that there are different approaches within the Development Bureau. I believe there is consistency. Of course, there are different charges within the Development Bureau. Now, on the 27 non-livelihood related charges, now these are mostly related to companies. Now, for the increases in respect of plumbers, the amount of increase is only $9 per year in respect of license. I just hope that there can be some criteria. Perhaps you can supply us with the information after the meeting. Now, this is the development panel, but I'm more interested in the criteria whereby certain items are classified as livelihood related and others are not. I will ask about this matter when I go back and talk to the other bureaus. Now, on the fees for explosives, now on cost recovery, now on the cost recovery ratio, in some cases it's 100.1%, but the lowest cost recovery ratio is 20-odd%. Now, how do you determine the cost recovery ratio? For instance, items 14 and 15, the cost recovery ratio is only 27.2 and 29.4%. So I don't quite understand. Now, the magnitude of adjustment, you said that the maximum is 20%. Now, if it's 27.2% after the increase, then in the future, will you increase by 20% every year? And how do you come up with 20%? Why is it that you cap at 20%? And also about water supplies related charges. You say that these will not directly affect people's livelihood, but on the installation of meters, now ultimately the users will be affected. So what are the fees that directly affect people's livelihood? Is it that only water charges are classified as directly relating to people's livelihood, whereas all other charges are not? Now, on items 14 and 15, the cost recovery ratios are low because, as I said, there are new work procedures incorporated because, as I said, we wanted to have an on-site inspection first, so the cost is higher.
And then concerning the water meters, why is it that we are saying that the fees have nothing to do with people's livelihood? Now, water meters are installed usually when new buildings are completed. And the cost of a water meter represents only a very, very small part of the cost of the flat. And then how did you decide on the cap of 20%? The principle is we do not want to have too big an increase every time. And so we think about 20% should be the right level. And for certain fees, the cost recovery rates are very low. So it's that in the future, every time the increase will be 20%. The director takes into account the cost recovery rates and decides on the increase. All right, if members have no further questions, then that's all. Concerning item 3 and item 4 on the agenda. All right, we now come to AOB. If members don't have any AOB items, then I can tell members that the meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.